Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. On this year's Strategy Game, and we are returning to Europe, playing War in the West. So, we are advancing in southern France, but more importantly, last time around we did land in Picardy. We have now troops on the ground in mainland France, not actually that far away from Paris, which I do hope that we're going to be able to take at some point. Nevertheless, the Germans are putting up a very stiff resistance over here, and they have sent a large number of tanks our way. So what I did in between episodes is I brought further troops in via sea. You can see we've got a little bit of infantry equipment here, and we've got various corps commands. So pretty much all of the 1st US Army is now on board over here. That's 6 divisions. I think we brought in 3 more just by sea. We've also brought in the last remaining bit here of the 12th British Corps, so that's another infantry division. We've brought in the headquarter here of the 1st British Corps, and we did shore up these infantry divisions here with a very important support brigade, and that is the 1st British Assault Engineer Brigade. These guys are fantastic because these guys are using the Churchill Havre. That is an excellent engineering vehicle. I hope that these guys are going to be able to break through the fortifications down here. Now, we've also brought in a couple of tanks, and I'm a little bit hesitant about whether we are overloading our supply capabilities here at this point, but for now we are bringing in 2 armored divisions. We've got the 1st Polish Armored Division, and we've got the Guards British Armored Division, so hopefully these guys are going to be successful in bringing our hammer and bringing or driving the Germans a little bit from these beaches. The most important position still is Le Havre. In addition to that, we have withdrawn a couple of our naval task forces here, and I've actually already started to ask them to prepare for some subsidiary landings. I'm not going to talk about that. Oh, you know what? I am going to talk about them. So let's look at the amphibious mode. I do prepare some naval landings down here at Brest and some around Cherbourg. The hope that we have is that maybe we're going to be able to capture some of these ports. This is a level 6 port, this is a level 5 port. So these would be nice targets to try to disrupt the Germans a little bit. We've got the entire 3rd Army here, these green guys, which is still ready to take out. I don't want to overload the capabilities here for the moment. We still maintain a couple of naval squadrons off the coast here, most importantly so that we have these temporary ports. And I think... oh dear. I did make a mistake over here. I did withdraw the wrong task force. And that of course is a problem. Let's bring you over here. Now that's not great because these guys... Jesus. So I should have brought someone else over here. Yeah, that's Omaha. I think... well, let's see whether we can repair that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you guys back towards over here. And then Omaha here, you guys are going to be based... no, I did ask you to prepare already, didn't I? And that does cost you all of your movement points. Is that the case? No, not quite. Oh, that's curious. Why was Omaha different then? Why are you guys without any movement points? That's really curious. Okay, in that case, let's do maintain the 87s over here. Let's hope that it is sufficient to maintain all of these temporary ports. These 2 temporary ports should be maintained by that guy, these 2 by that guy, and this by that. So, hopefully that is going to be enough. I'm very concerned about our supply situation because we did use the port capacity to bring in further troops and not so much bring in any supplies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a couple of guys over here. We've got, I think, quite a couple of Skytrain, Sterlings. All of these guys should be relatively ready to maybe bring in further troops. Sorry, not further troops, but actually supplies. So Dakotas... I think Dakota is just the C-47 Skytrain here. Okay, let's start over there and let's bring up some supply here to, let's say, that area over here. Don't think we need any of these fighter bombers, but I certainly do want to use quite a bit of our transport capabilities here just to really bring up as much supply as we can. So that is a nice... you know what, let's pick a couple more here. Simply because I want to lift as much as possible towards over there, and I think this is mostly supplies, right? I think so. Yeah, let's launch and let's bring up some supplies that way. I think that's going to be fine. 1,000 tons of supply delivered. That's very lovely to see here in the first run. And a couple of more. We are losing some planes, of course, in the process here, as we are shifting a lot of stuff overseas. But all in all, I'm very happy. Let's skip through these things and then just briefly look at how much we've got actually over here now. So that was over here, wasn't it? Yeah. 3,500 tons of supply sent over. So hopefully that is going to be enough. I don't know. Right. Without further ado, let's see what the Germans do. Because I do want to experience that with you. I just don't know. They might kick us very hard. I'm mostly concerned, let's say, over this slightly exposed airborne division. These guys don't really have the standing power. These guys too. Do you know what? No, you are on the ship, so you should actually be pushed back to sea, and nothing worse should happen to you. So let's hope that is going to be enough. Can we bring anyone forward here? No, we can't. These armor troops? Yeah, no. Well, we could get over here. Well, no, I dislike that idea a little bit. Could bring forward the armor troops and send you over here. Now, I'm concerned that they're going to break through this paratrooper division, and it's likely. I mean, this is so many troops. Yeah, you know what? Okay, let's bring forward the armor troops here, and let's have you reinforce that position there on the flank. Simply so that we have a little bit better line here. I think that's better. Right, you know what? Let's see what the Germans are going to do. I'm really intrigued. I'm really intrigued to find out what they are going to do. This is such a slim line that we are still holding here. And Le Havre is still not ours, so all of the supply that can potentially through that harbour is not going to be enough. Dieppe is nice. Dieppe is an actual harbour, but it's only level 2, and level 2 is just not going to be good enough to maintain right about 2 to 3 armies that we've got over there at the moment already. So yeah, that's pretty much a no-no. Just look at the strength of these armoured formations that they've got in the centre over here. I think this over here might be a little bit weaker. Ooh, interesting. So they are attacking our kind of exposed line over here. What we did was we were bringing these troops forward in the hope that the Germans would pull back without putting up a fight. Now, it's not a large fight, mind you, it's more of a skirmish, but still that's interesting to see. Also interesting to see the Germans are trying to push out of here, and they're still only using their infantry division and not the tanks that are bottled up in Avignon. And again, it's pretty unsuccessful. We're only losing a couple of men. It's more of a probing attack, it seems. Yeah, the second attack really just didn't go anywhere either, so happy about that. That's okay-ish. Right. Oh, this is a little bit stronger of a push. So they are trying to break out from this encirclement here by attacking these guys here in the center. That's 23,000 Germans attacking. All in all, kind of an inconsequential attack, though. The losses on their side and on our side were really low, so yeah. And that seems to be it for the German counterattack. So kind of weakish. They will re-establish their line, so that is going to look very different. But yeah, we did manage to push them out of this little area here just by sort of this flanking maneuver. And it's much nicer to gain ground that way, because otherwise we would have to fight, and we are losing a lot of victory points due to all of the fighting that is happening and due to all of the losses that we are taking. So really need to be quite careful about that. Oh, but this turn already a little bit better, so that's nice to see. Good. Well, it would be lovely to get to Bolzano at some point and just capture that hex there, but for now that is pretty much out of our league. So let's see. Weather seems to be nice. That's certainly good to see. Very hopeful about that. Germans did bring the 1st SS Panzer Division into the front line, and nevertheless it looks okay. Also, our supplies seem to be working out fine. Let's just briefly check how much we're receiving here. So we are receiving about 20,000 per turn. That's fine. We're only sending out 1,000. So I'm going to be very happy to send in more troops here onto these landing sites. I think it seems to work out. Now, what have they got over here? They still have a Luftwaffe field division, and they've got a complete infantry division, and then 2/3 of, yeah. So they've got a lot of troops over here at this point, which is a shame. It would have been so nice to try to cut off the city of Le Havre, but we just might be able to take it out. We've got a very strong force over here. Yeah, but I think the overall goal will be to push them back a little bit, just get more of a safe corridor here to be happy about our landings. And then what we're going to do is we're going to try to push aggressively on Le Havre. I think that's what we need to do up here. Down here, oh, the Germans are trying to retreat that way. I suppose that's fine, no issue with that. We've got a core over there, and we've got these guys who are starting to look a little bit weaker now. These guys down here still going pretty strong, so we need to be careful about these guys. But that's going to be alright. What have we got over here on this side of the front line? So, Germans are withdrawing a little bit, maintaining their line sort of into the mountain reaches there. That's going to be alright. I don't think we can push them back. This is just too difficult terrain. So, pretty much no weak point that I can immediately identify. Not even the Schmalz-Panzergrenadier Brigade. Yeah, these guys are fine. But notice just how some of these guys do have supply issues and these little red icons there. So that is nice to see. Now these guys are going to be finished. That's okay. This is interesting. So they have got the entire Panzer division down here. So that almost makes it very, very tempting to try to strike into their rear here. Now this part of the Fallschirmjäger division, these guys are going to be easy to push back, I think. They don't even have a lot of flak, so we can concentrate there very easily. Then come down here. Now the bigger issue though is the 65th Infantry Division here. These guys obviously have some sort of anti-tank brigade that is attached to them. I mean, this is about 40. This is 45 anti-tank guns plus the Stuks. So also artillery and just anti-tank guns. So Jagdpanzers. Yeah, that's going to be a strong position to try to push back. So I'm not sure whether we will be able to break through here. We do have some tanks in the area. It just might work, but it's going to be a little bit of work. So nevertheless, that would be, I mean, this is 120 Panthers plus various assorted equipment, rocket artillery, Westbear mortars. It would be very nice to take these guys out. That would just be really nice. So yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're going to concentrate our air efforts on this area over here. Don't think we need to do anything else. We could prepare these guys here a little bit for storming, but it's going to be alright. Now this is kind of funny. Why did we get that terrain here? Really don't know. I don't know why the power projection is going as it's going over here. That looks a little bit weird, honestly. But that's fine. Also, you guys are going to be pushing up there, so that does mean our rail lines are going to be maybe coming from Genoa via Turin all the way to Lyon if we can't capture Marseille and Toulon before. So I think that's going to be alright. Nevertheless, of course, we are building the coastal highway over here and then ultimately going to build up through the Rhone Valley. But if we can cut through the mountains into Lyon, that would also be very nice. Now, oh, by the way, I wanted to check one thing, and that is the Germans did disband a lot of their fortified units along the entire coastal area here after we had successfully done our landings, which is fine, but that did mean they had a lot more men ready. And yes, so this is really what I think is happening here. Let's look at the last 10 turns, right? So we had gotten them to a very low point, then they disbanded all of these units. That's about 130,000 men that they are gaining in a single turn, and then they are losing them again. And I think what is happening is that this 60,000 men or so is pretty much the baseline what they are getting each turn, and then that is being sunk into these units to try to rebuild them. So I think effectively the German manpower pool has run dry, and we are sort of seeing that temporary fluctuations whenever they do disband a lot of units or so, and that these guys are going to be sucked up into combat troops. The bad thing about that is it does mean a lot of these guys here will become much stronger as we are seeing 200,000 men, or nearly 200,000 men, emerge from these various fortifications. And I think something similar is going to happen once the line over here will be broken. Probably the Germans are going to be disbanding it at that point. So it's going to be interesting to maybe try to do that super encirclement of all of these sort of stragglers in France. But yeah, that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plan the air stuff off camera because it always takes quite a moment, and you guys can rejoin me in a second. Right then, here we go. Let's start by looking at the air setup down here in France because I think it's the easiest. The rest is a bit more of a mess. So we are still blockading these two ports here from the air, so that should be fine. We are nevertheless bombing Toulon, hoping to reduce it and maybe take it this turn, maybe next turn, we don't know, but we do hope to take it. That's pretty much it. We are also supporting the 8th British Army here with the Desert Air Force. Not a big deal. It's starting to look a little bit more complicated up over here. Fighter Command is supporting... You know what? Why are you actually supporting the 7th Army? I think you guys should be supporting the 5th Army. There we go. That's basically all of these guys down there. You should be supporting that. We are naval patrolling and blockading thereby the city of Trieste. That should be okay. And then we've got two set of ground attack machines over here. We've got the 2-engine bombers. They are going to directly strike the 65th Infantry Division, hoping that we can push them out of the way. And then we've got Tactical Air Command doing some interdiction missions here in this relatively small area, but hoping to reduce the Germans' ability to respond to any advance from us. Let's zoom out a little bit and look what 15th Air Force is doing. So 15th Air Force basically has this huge area, and they're going to try to disrupt rail traffic in all of that and reduce all of the rail infrastructure that the Germans have over here. Now, I didn't want to go right until up to Munich because there are too many fighters over here. And just basically Vienna is in rubble and Bucharest is in rubble, so we don't really need to strike either of these targets. So I think this is fine, and that will support our advance down there a little bit. Let's look at the strategic warfare up here. Pretty much easy strike here on the Hanover region by the 8th Air Force. These guys are going to target various different things. Most importantly, the tank production, the oil production, then a little bit the trucks, and lastly the weapons and rail yards. That should be fine. They're a little bit supported here by some sweeping missions from fighters, hoping to disrupt any German build-up before the bombers do come in. That's okay-ish, I hope. Now, where are the Brits, you might wonder? Well, the British are over here, and they are bombing this very large area here and trying to strike mostly, again, rail traffic, so that we're reducing all of the rail traffic in France and Belgium over here. And you can see it's starting to be a mess up here. Now, let's go through that one by one. We've got a direct ground support mission here from the number 10 group on the Canadians. The Canadians might just push them out. You know what? We might actually shift that a little bit towards the 1st British Corps over here. Because I think the 1st British Corps, so that should be the 2nd British Army, 1st British Corps, there we go. You guys are going to support them directly. And the reason, of course, is that they are going to try to take this city and the harbour there. So that's fine. That's the direct ground support we have. We have also a couple of ground attack missions here. On the left, you can see 2nd RAF Tactical Air Force is trying to strike the harbour itself. And then we've got the single-engine variants, 64 of these guys. They're going to try to disrupt their ability to resupply from over here. So they're going to try to race interdiction, hoping that it's going to be a little bit difficult for them to source supply from these locations down here. I don't know whether that is going to work out, but we're certainly going to try. 9th Air Force, on the meanwhile, is trying to strike here on the very slimmest part of our front line. We do want to push out a little bit here, so that would be brilliant if you could reduce the strength of these guys a little bit. And that's pretty much it, what we've got down here. We've also got a little bit of air superiority during the night and day. We've got some naval patrols, but it's not a big deal. The most important things are these ground attacks. And it's just glorious. It looks messy, but it all does make sense if you look at it in a little bit more detail. Right, so let's see how things are going to go. We are probably going to take a number of losses, but look at that. The Germans have lost 100 planes against 6 of our own just in air combat. That is very good news. I think they're trying to do things there that they're really going to regret. And that's very nice to see this sort of ratio. I think for a second it was 60-1, which certainly is a very, very good ratio for us. Right, but nevertheless, the Germans are very, very strong down there in Le Havre. I'm not sure we're going to be able to break it. We can only hope. The 1st British Corps is a very, very strong unit, but Sorry, the 1st British Corps is a very, very strong unit, but is it going to be enough? I do not know. We certainly do need to bring in more troops towards that area too. How are we here losses? 133 against 160. Yeah, but at this point it's pretty much all operational losses, so I think that's pretty fine. Good. Let's look at the combat. So what have we got? 15th Air Force. You guys doing some rail damage here. That's fine. You're not really taking any casualties. That's actually pretty nice. You only lost 3 planes and you shot down 30 German ones. Just how are these things happening now? That's a lot of Bf-109s, but let's look at the air combat here. Yeah, that looks exceptionally well. We are shooting down very experienced German fighters. I like it. I like it a lot. And you can see just how dispersed their strikes are in pretty much all of the Alpine region. Happy about that, can't lie. So that's nice. Anything else? How did Bomber Command fare? Now you guys, you're really not that well suited to this type of warfare, but you are doing some damage here against the rail structure. That's good. You are taking some people there in France and Belgium with you, which is not exactly what we're looking for, but still it's good to see that you are reducing their ability to move around. I think that's going to be super crucial. Did you also strike some of the truck production that I asked you to strike? Can't see it at the first glance here, so I don't know. 2nd RAF, you're losing a couple of guys, probably mostly due to flak because I don't see the Germans coming out in any type of numbers. 8th Air Force, unsurprisingly high casualties, there's surprisingly few Germans, so that's 50 planes lost on our side against 30 or so on the German side. That's not quite typical. We typically see better ratios from the 8th Air Force. Yeah, nevertheless, good amount of damage here against various of these targets, so that's nice to see. Good, I like it. 9th Air Force, you guys doing fine. 15th, we looked at you, so that's pretty much all okay. Don't need to be too concerned about any of these guys. No, they seem to be handling themselves fairly well. Now, the one that I was wondering about, yeah, the 3rd Bombing Division, you did enter into some air combat here, and I think that did contribute to... Yeah, just look at that. So, we've got a lot of Thunderbolts against a lot of Bf-109s and a couple of Fokker Wolves. These guys are losing experience, and as a consequence, they're just being slaughtered. You can see here of these 12 guys, pretty much everyone was killed. Damage dealt. Only these guys up here, only the most experienced fighters here from Jagdgruppe 50 were able to do any damage, but they didn't achieve even a kill. Whereas our guys really scoring well, and I think thereby increasing their experience. So, happy about that. Honestly, it's fine. Let's see what we can do. Now, I'm going to start out here in Picardy because it's the most important theatre that we've got. Le Havre. The city of Le Havre. We've got a couple of very strong units over here. We've got 56 attack power against 34 on their side. We could bring in further reinforcements here, for example, by using these tanks. But this is a city, and I don't think our tanks are going to be very well suited for city fighting. We could, of course, bring in the paratroopers over here as well, and maybe exchange these guys for the Polish armoured unit. And I think that's exactly what we're going to do. So, first, 6 British Airborne, you guys are going to go over here, and then we're going to strike with 4 divisions in a deliberate attack against Le Havre. This is going to be hard. And let's actually increase the message level here just slightly, and let's do it. Right, so Typhoons are coming in to support us. That's lovely to see. 70 or so Typhoons, and we're going to go down here gradually on the message level, simply because I just don't want to be informed about every single Typhoon. Okay, you are being damaged by flak. That's okay. Come on, let's advance. Okay, that is a little bit too slow, honestly. Message level 3, maybe? Okay, yeah, a couple of Typhoons here are striking, so that is nice. They are not necessarily striking the unit that I want them to strike. Now they are, the infantry division. Good to see. Fort is being reduced by artillery fire to 4. It's still, no, but they are holding out. Okay, 500 casualties here on our side. Fort has been reduced a little bit, but really not close to, really not enough. our combat value here is being changed to 300. Theirs is being changed to 490. It's a shame. That is gonna take a while here to break through. Now the good news is we didn't lose any tanks. They did lose some. We did lose a couple of guns. That's not too crucial, but still, these fights are going to be incredibly tough. And you guys have quite a lot of fatigue already. Do we risk another attack then? 43 against 18. Okay, let's do one more attack here. Let's see how that is gonna work out. Okay, a couple of Typhoons here. This time they're striking the right unit, the infantry division, not the garrison. Fort is being reduced to... It's still very, very high, so... Yeah, no. We are being stopped here dead in our tracks, and this time we're even losing a tank, we're losing a number of cons and more men, so... Probably a mistake to do this second attack, but we desperately, desperately need this harbour. And it would be so nice to take it. Okay, nevertheless, we haven't managed it, so there we go. Let's get you guys off the ships. And then what do we do next? Now, I want to shift out our front line, and I want to do that most importantly around the port of Dieppe itself, simply so that we have a little bit more capabilities of reinforcing and just sending supplies forward here. Now, the issue is we've got the Panzer Division, which does include some heavy tanks, some Panzerforce, some Panthers. This is going to be extremely tough to break. So I'm thinking more we could try to follow the Seine River and maybe get ourselves an anchor on this flank, which would further threaten Le Havre. We might find some weak points here. For example, this area here is oh, they have 42 elephants. Yeah, and I think it's pretty viable to just chip away at these weak points. So let's try to do that. Let's bring up the poles over here. Now you could attack. Let's do the deliberate attack by these two tank units. And I think that should be alright. That should be more than enough to push them out. Yes, it is. Good to see. Losing a couple of men, losing just a handful of tanks. That's good to see. Okay, now we've brought you forward. Question is, can we sort of topple these guys one after another? I think we probably can. Right, let's try using... Okay, you can't join in on a deliberate attack. You guys could, though. Do they have fortification? Yeah, they have level 2 fortification. So I want to continue to exert some pressure here. Otherwise, these guys are just going to dig in extremely well, and that is not going to be good for us over the long term. Do they have any close by infrastructure? That is an issue here. Yeah, let's try to advance towards Rouen. Doing a deliberate attack over here. We are losing a lot of men in these fights, but ultimately we do need to bring down the Germans, so I think that's okay. Good. Now we did advance over here. Now the question is, can we... No, there's pretty much no chance in driving these guys back. So that does leave the question, is there a chance to bring you back? Now the Panzer Division, you are incredibly strong. You really are. I really dislike that. Okay, we've got a couple of troops here, and we've got this cavalry group. Now you guys do have the M8, and I'm not sure whether you're a good match against the German tanks over here. But let's see. I'm just really nervous about this position here, so let's try to do that with everything that we've got. Do we drive them back? At least we are reducing the fort here, so that is good, but I'm not sure. They are holding, but very barely. 1.92. So at 2 to 1 we would have won. So that's kind of interesting. So can we attack again? We can. Did we learn anything, or are we just being stupid now? Combat delay 3. These guys are around, but they don't have any fortifications. We've got good recon. We don't really have good interdiction, though. That we should try to improve. Okay, let's bring forward this infantry division, and then let's do another deliberate attack here. I just really want to get rid of them. Yeah, this time that looks much better. They're losing a number of tanks, so that's good to see too. Right, so that does mean we can bring up the Canadians. At least one of you guys can be brought forward. That's good. And then you guys here can actually get to a reserve position so that you can support any defense that might need to be supported. Good. You know what? I'm going to do the same here with the cavalry group. I'm going to pull you back and I'm going to be asking you to be in a reserve position so that you can join in any defense that does need to be supported. Now, you guys over here, you're just a reserve infantry division, so I think we can actually very easily try to overwhelm you. Now, you guys are a little bit exhausted anyway, so I don't want to drive you too far. But let's try to do a deliberate attack here with a single infantry division. Maybe that's going to be enough to really drive them back. And they don't really have any fortifications, so just look at how much artillery we're using to support them. Yeah. So these guys are running, and they are running quite easily. Right, so that does mean you guys can be brought forward here, which is good to see. Maybe I should have brought one over here to help out the airborne division. I could still do that. Yeah, okay, let's bring you forward because I'm really not sure about these guys. And you can then join in here, so that's okay. And then just for the fun of it, you guys could attack them, cut their rail line here, and that should help out in the short term. Just a short attack here with 16 guys, but some more will be exhausted. But most importantly, the rail line here has been cut. And that does already mean that they don't have east-west traffic anywhere north of Paris. So just to transfer anyone from here to here, they would need to run by Paris. So, yeah, I think that's okay. Good. I like it. Anything else that needs to be done over here? Now, what we could actually do is bring you back over here and also be in reserve formation so that you can just attack anywhere where we are feeling a little bit short. You know what, you guys, for the moment here, be part of the British. No, you are part of an airborne corps, so that's actually fine. So we don't need to be too concerned about you. You guys, on the other hand, just could match up with some of these. You know what? Yeah, let's ask you to be in the 5th Corps. It's just a temporary measure, but I do want you to have a unified command structure here. That should be okay. Good. You guys, fine, but very high fatigue. So that's okay. Let's bring you guys. I think you're fine where you are. Okay, we've got another full infantry division over here, which is part of these guys. Let's bring you down here into the front because I don't want to really use my armored division in a capacity to just hold the front line. Speaking of, no, this would be silly. Attacking into infantry across a river. They've got 60 anti-tank guns, so no. Yeah, just no. Right, okay, so bring you back a little bit over here so that you're now in a good reserve position here so that you can easily strike anyone and maybe start preparing some attacks here on some of these weak German elements once we are finding them. And that's fine. We are going to bring up a couple of more units here in between episodes. But that just really doesn't need to happen on camera, so I think that's fine. Yeah, and that should be okay up there. Let's go down to France. Let's see how the situation is down here. Right, so I think the first important bit over here is going to be to try to... You're just an independent brigade. Okay, let's get you over here. Fine. You are in the open. Let's get these tanks down here then into Nîmes. And do an... Why are you actually not short on supply? Okay, let's do a deliberate attack here. Hoping to reduce these or capture these 4,500 Germans. You know what? I'm going to go to a slightly lower message level here. Fine. Yeah, good. I like it. Did capture them very cleanly. Okay, so that does free up a couple of troops here that we can use to push forward to some of these places. Speaking of pushing forward, you guys are fine. You've capture this line here, which is slightly awkward, honestly, but fine. We are capturing another depot over here. That's good too. Although I'm starting to think you're outrunning the you're not fast enough really to capture these guys. So that does mean, on the other hand, that we could take, for example, these South Africans here and advance quite a bit forward on this line, I think. That would not be a bad idea. You guys are a little bit shy on supplies, but I think it's alright. There's no one here to encircle us. We've just got a couple of brigades from the mountain troops over there. You guys could advance. This is wide open, but there's no point really capturing this, I think. So let's start to bring you up to the north over here, just to reduce the German capabilities of any rail usage over here as well. So that should be okay. Okay, you guys, the Indians. Now, you're part of the British Army directly. I would like to capture this corps. I'm not sure they have a lot of equipment. Okay, let's just push them back. That should reduce their capabilities a little bit. So that's fine. And then, yeah, what we probably want to do is keep using infantry over here. Just bring more infantry into these positions. But yeah, okay, you guys can advance and start to threaten Grenoble. Okay, let's capture all of this terrain simply so that we have a decent connected rail line over here. It's probably going to change a little bit. We're probably going to capture all of this terrain here as well, I would think. So that's nice. It does leave the question a bit about what we're going to do up here. Now, I'm almost tempted to try to encircle, or at least threaten these guys with encirclement. On the other hand, I really want to grab Lyon, which is urban terrain. So let's bring up the South Africans here towards Lyon. It's a very aggressive move, but I think we've done fairly well with aggressive moves so far. So yeah, I think that's going to be alright. Let's bring the French up here, and that does free up the 7th British Armoured as well. We're going to drive you towards here. So again, cutting a lot of rail lines, cutting this rail line here, that's nice. That does actually reduce the French capabilities of moving east-west traffic to just there's the line of Paris, there's this line down here, this line. That's just what, 6 or 7 east-west connections? It's not that little, so it's not that much. So I think that's fairly nice. Good, okay. Now, the city of Avignon itself is going to present a problem, because I do not believe that we have anywhere near enough strength to tackle these guys. Defensive value of 28 there, so to me that's just a no. Right, let's get you on to Marseille, towards Marseille as well. You guys also really not capable of taking them on. You just might be at some point. Right, okay, that's not actually looking too bad, is it? Right, let's move you guys. Okay, let's take one of you. You. Get down there. You guys. 13th, 30th. You're 30th. Okay, so let's try to disentangle these two cores here a little bit. Okay, are we ready to take them on? I think we are. That should be easy. I mean, you guys have such overwhelming numbers over here that I really believe that you should be able to take them out. Good. Okay, let's bring forward the headquarter here so that you're actually using some stuff. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's looking nice. 8,000 Germans gone. 700 men lost now, so significant losses here. But we did manage to take the harbour, and that is the most important thing, truly. So yeah, fine, good. You guys advance. That's lovely to see. You guys can then actually get to, well, you can actually get surprisingly far. Okay, let's get you over here, and then we can pick the French and sort of come around this entire lake over here. Although that does mean probably all of your supplies would need to take that route too. On the other hand, I do think it is an advantage to attack these guys here from multiple directions. So yeah, let's try to do that. Good. Special Service Brigade. I would love for you guys to be here. Right. How much have we got? 74. I think it's not a bad strategy to try to take them out next turn. By the way, Toulon, you guys, I would really love for you to repair your port. So let's try to do that. Let's also increase your priority here. That should be okay. Good. 332. Yeah, let's go over here. Indians, you can get close enough that I think you're going to be able to participate next time around. That's fine. You guys, I hope that all gets captured, but nevertheless, let's try to make our way through towards that direction there, and I think that's going to be alright. Good. Okay, that's starting to look much better down here than I had anticipated. I would have thought that even Toulon would take us a much longer time, but apparently it doesn't, so that's good news, isn't it? Right, you guys, can anyone advance over here? No. Can you guys advance? You've got 4 movement points. Yeah, you can. Good. So that's fine. Now, you guys don't really need to be here. Let's get over here so that we've got some connection to these guys over here. You guys might as well try to cover yourself over there. Now, all of you up over here are super isolated, and I'm kind of concerned, but let's at least try to occupy a couple of these high value provinces there. I'm a little bit concerned about this setup here. These guys have outrun their lines most certainly, but maybe we're going to be able to take this out next turn, or at least that, and then move up a couple of units so that these guys are free to move further and capture us. It's very nice to have Lyon. It's extremely nice because we will be able to bring up supplies not just from Marseille through the Rhone Valley, but also potentially from Genoa towards Lyon as well. So yeah, I think that's going to be extremely useful. Now, up in Italy over here, I think we're obviously going to start by trying to take out this group over here. We're going to do a deliberate attack here with the Polish and the 3rd US Infantry. They are surrendering. That's nearly 10,000 Germans gone. So that's lovely to see. Now, this here is our main target. So what can we do to break them? We've got some armoured units that could be ready to strike into that area there. Now, we've also got the Special Service Brigade. Okay, let's bring you forward. You can support that attack. Do we have enough infantry? Yeah, okay. Right, let's use the infantry here in a deliberate attack against these Fallschirmjägers. They are retreating. So far, so good. What I dislike is to see where they have retreated, because that does mean it will be a little bit more difficult here for us to break through and isolate and capture that area over here. That being said, now we don't necessarily need to grab that hex. We could also just try to get over here. That's looking promising actually, so how about the British? You can get over here. Well, yeah, that's fantastic then. Okay, let's send the British forward. And then let's use the American tanks to circle back behind these guys, and then we've also captured the... I mean, it's not the largest part of the German units, but still capturing paratroopers is always extremely nice. Now this I dislike because now we've exposed this unit there. Okay, let's get the Poles to advance there. That's fine. Use infantry. You're fine. You could get over there. Now, yeah, I think what we need to do then is bring you towards down here. The first US armoured is going to go there. Yeah, so we've fully encircled the entire Hammer-Göring Panzer Division. More than 100 Panthers gone. Let's just briefly look. I know this is a long episode, but let's just briefly look at what that means for the German AFVs. Out of battle. They've got about 2,500, so that's a significant part of their front line there. So yeah, happy about that. Good. Right, you guys can at least close the front line up over there. That's good. Right, and you guys can potentially build up the rail infrastructure here. Lovely. Yeah, mostly going to do that off camera, but that's fine. So yeah, happy about that. I don't think we can advance any further or anything. But also it's very nice to see that we've actually captured this area here, because we do want these air bases here. to try to build them up and just use them to bring more rain onto southern Germany, because it's currently we are stationed here and we are barely able to reach Vienna and Munich. If we are stationed over here, I think we can easily reach all of southern Germany, Prague, Vienna, Blackhammer. All of that will be easily within B-17 range, I think. Even we don't need the B-24s for that. So nice, I think. Good. That being said, I think it's a good place to put in a cut. I'm going to move all of these units a little bit around here and towards the front line. But I didn't... Oh yeah, you know what? One thing I probably want to do then is actually grab you guys over here. Because we've... Just look at these guys. They are kind of weak. And I would love to keep that airbase. So let's try to push them away. Easy. Let's move in there. And we've got the airbase, and that's fantastic to see too. Because again, we're going to expand that and build that up for our heavy bombers as time goes on. So yeah. Anything else that we want to grab? This area over here seems to be too strongly defended. Well, is it though? Okay, let's do one more attack over here. Strong attack against these troops. They are retreating, but we have lost a couple of men here. And most importantly, a lot of these guys here are counting as exhausted. I'm not even sure we can move in there because, yeah, we can't. Because our troops are now too exhausted, so that's a little bit of a shame. But still, it's nice to have captured that depot so that the Germans have a lot more. I mean, now they need to supply from here and there, so it's all going to be a little bit more harder for them. So honestly, pretty happy about that. So that being said, now I'm going to put in a cut. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Bye bye.